event focusing on environment education. It shall be no secret that environment education is really close to my heart, and I think it's essential to Scouting. Because to me, environment education is not just another opportunity to earn badges in Scouting. It's the core of what we're doing, because all our Scouting activities, they started from the nature. And I think this quote from our founder, Baden-Powell, says it really well. He says that the forest is at once a laboratory, a club, and a temple. So it is in the forest, it's in the nature that we do our activities. That's where we learn, that's where we develop. It's where we work with spiritual development, and it's also our home. It's our Scout club. So with this outset, I think it's really important we consider the environmental aspects of our Scouting education. Some of you might be familiar with the current World Scout Environment Program that we have today. That was a program that was launched back in 2009, and it was launched because there was a need for something to replace our past conservation badge, what some of you might know as the Panda badge. So there was a conference resolution in the World Scout Conference resolution in 2008 to renew our environment program to what we have today, which is the World Scout Environment Program. The logo of the current environment program is what you see in the circle here on the slide. Hanny already talked very briefly about it, but basically what we do today is that we're trying to develop skills and competencies in young people, teaching them about nature, environment, and then we want them to take action. The main problem with what we have today is that it's now 10 years old, and the way that we talk about environment education, not only in Scouting, but globally has changed. So this means that young people are no longer only interested in this, they're interested in the broader agenda of sustainability. I don't think we can make a new environment program without taking into account the concept of being a sustainable citizen. So this is one of the things that has led to the conclusion that we really need to again renew our current environment program. And we have asked for help with some experts. So we're going to renew our program together with WWF and UN Environment. But before digging into the details of what's coming next, I would like to put this in a context, because we cannot update our new environment program in a vacuum. We need to consider everything else that World Scouting is doing right now. And Hanny already talked a bit about what we're doing with the SDGs. So basically what Hanny was explaining earlier in his presentation, we want all the Scouts around the world to take action towards the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And from World Scouting, how we're going to support that is because we will align that together with our current youth program framework, but we'll also align the SDG and the work with the Sustainable Development Goals with our Better World framework. The Better World framework is basically any activity that we do where we try to develop the capacities in young people to become global active citizens. So basically every activity we do in Scouting where we try to achieve, to build competencies in young people to take action for a better society, that fits into the umbrella of the Better World framework. And as you see up here on the slide, in the bottom, in the dark green, you actually have the current World Scout Environment Program in here. So it's really important for us that what we develop again is aligned with this. So with these two things in mind, our Better World framework and the work that we're doing with the Sustainable Development Goals, we are looking into the replacement of the current World Scout Environment Program. When we are renewing this program, we want to consider this to be a personal journey for the Scout. So we want every Scout to build the capacities that is needed in his or her own context. So that means we would like to develop a framework that we would call the Earth Tribe. The Earth Tribe will coexist within the Better World framework, as I just explained. And the idea here is that to become member of the Earth Tribe, you will become an environmental Scout. So you will build these competencies that relate to some of the SDGs, so to some of the goals that are concerning environment education and nature in a broader context. So what we aim to do is we want to build competencies in young people to work on the SDGs that you see on this slide. And the competencies we will define by using this UNESCO resource. So some of you might be aware that UNESCO has already made this very good resource available where they develop the competencies and skills needed to achieve the SDGs. So we will be inspired by this to do our new World Scout Environment Program. So the next steps, obviously, will be to identify the specific competences that we want to put in the framework, but we also need to identify the specific activities to achieve these competencies. Then we would like to look out there globally for resources or develop them ourselves, so something we can use. And we also have to define a system on how we're going to monitor, evaluate, and renew this program over time. When that is in place, we will be able to put all this together into a toolkit for all NSOs, so for all countries around the world, for a launch of this new program. And as you might realize, this is not coming tomorrow, we're sorry, but we're working on it. But while we are working, this should not prevent you from working with environment, education, and scouting. So I just want to mention briefly that last week we actually launched WASM Service Platform, which is an online platform where you can get inspired. There is a lot of resources here already where you can learn about the current environment program, but you can also be inspired by what a lot of NSOs have already done in this field. You would actually find toolkits there where other NSOs has been developing activities to support the SDGs and environment education. And these are really good materials, so I'll encourage you to have a look at that and just steal and use this for your own purposes until the new World Scout Environment Program is in place. So with that in mind, I just want you to stay tuned. We hope that you're just as excited as we are about this new batch. So please come and talk to us, provide all your ideas while we're developing this. And then, of course, look out for the launch. I hope you will all be good ambassadors and start working with the toolkit when you receive it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.